Welcome back to our wildlife showcase on attract mode today. Up next, we are going deep within the dark corners of Hollow Nest with Aggie running all glitches and all grubs. Excuse me, all grubs, all glitches. Let's get into it. Aggie, take us away.
Hello everyone. I am Aggie, and today I'm going to be showing you All Grubs All Glitches, a fantastic, incredible category that obviously saves all the glitches. Good job. Saves all the grubs with a myriad of the many glitches the game has to offer. Apress, Meemee, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah. I am Meemee. I am a glitch runner for this game, and I love this category.
Yeah, I'm Apress. I am primarily a rando player, but also do quite a bit of glitches and glitch speedrunning. And I love saving grubs, so let's do it.
Yeah, so let's get things underway in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's grub it.
Good luck.
Okay, so Hollow Knight, as you may know, is a really popular indie game from 2017. It's really loved by its fans, especially because it has a lot of depth and attention to detail that you can find everywhere. But what you might not know is that originally the game was it felt a little rushed and underdeveloped. But as it went on, a lot of love was put into the game and more was added. So one of the things that was added was God Home and God Seeker mode, which is a type of game that basically is a new game plus. It gives you all the stuff from the start. And normally that's not very useful in a speedrun because it locks you there. But as you just saw, Aggie did a special glitch which brought everything into a normal game. And so now she has everything, all the equipment, and she's going to be using that to get all the grubs very quickly. The other things that she got there were something we call bench storage and no clip. You can see no clip right now. She's in a wall. And as far as bench storage goes, you'll see that in just a second when she's changing charms. You're not supposed to be able to do that. You're supposed to be able to do that only on a bench, but the game thinks she's on a bench right now.
Yeah, and so we probably should start explaining some intricacies of no clip and what that's going to be looking like. Because while it is an incredibly powerful tool to be able to just float around like this, get wherever you want super easily, there's a lot of ways that it can go wrong very quickly. It can be really easy to soft lock yourself and just get in an unwinnable position, just because the ways that we can move around are actually pretty limited. When the game thinks that we're in the air, we essentially can only move. We can always move left and right, but to move up and down, we can either use our double jump, use our wings to go up, or we equip Dash Master so that we can dash downwards to move down. And if we find ourselves in a position where we've used those resources and can't refresh it by being close to ground or by pogoing something, then we're kind of in trouble.
That's why it's going to be really important for her to be positioned well to be able to find ground again wherever possible. And it's very tricky because a lot of times where is ground is a little bit misleading and it's not always visually obvious. And so for a lot of this, she's actually memorized where the ground is in each spot, especially when it's in walls. There's little bits of ground somewhere. The other thing we're doing right now is getting essence.
Yeah, so being in the God Seeker save file does give us one bit of essence, but we're going to need a little bit more to do some dream gates later on. Right there, we took advantage of transition storage in order to do a dive and keep control during it, which makes for just a really quick way to get downwards, and then you're able to cancel out of it with a dash, because with no clip, otherwise we would just keep going and not interact with the ground to ever stop it.
That's the best and worst part about no clip is it just it doesn't touch the ground, so there's no saving yourself in a normal, like you could normally. You can just, oh, I messed up, let me just fall to the ground. That doesn't exist here.
Another thing we should probably touch on here with some of this no clip movement is you'll sometimes see that the knight appears to be walking in midair, and other times it's kind of floating there. What's going on is Aggie's sometimes purposefully, sometimes you get it when you don't want it, but getting what we call airwalk. Essentially, the game thinks that you're still on the ground even though you're not. And so a lot of this can also be like managing whether or not you have airwalk. Usually when you walk into a transition, assuming it's just like one that you walk into, you'll pretty much start every room with airwalk.
Yes.
And then you can like charge a C-dash or start a dream nail in order to get rid of it, or a few other things.
Speaking of C-dash, if you've seen this sort of particle effect that's happening around the night, that's a C-dash, what we call C-dash. It's the fastest way you can move side to side, like what you see right now. And that's what we're going to be trying to do everywhere. But one of the limitations of that is you can only do it when you're actually above ground. The game won't let you if you're not. And so, again, we got to find where the ground is to be able to do C-dashes, which is their fastest way of movement.
A nice blessings drop there. You'll love to see it. And so we've been explaining a whole lot of glitches, but just to make sure, so the point of this category, we're trying to save all 46 grubs that are scattered around Hollow Nest. Already you can see we've gotten a whole bunch of them, but this run will really bring us to just all corners of the map to get those.
All of these grubs and the order that we're getting them has all been very carefully planned out ahead of time, and this can be kind of scary.
Yeah, these Great Husk Sentries can be a little bit rude, even when you have like no clip and all items like this. Their shields just kind of work really strangely. So while you might want to just like use your Shade Cloak to dash through them without getting hit, it has a tendency to sometimes push you down into the ground. It kind of acts like a slope that'll just send you down, and when you have no clip, you don't stop going down.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of really respect them.
Another thing that's really scary that we're going to be seeing is something that you always have to be afraid of as a glitched runner, which is what we call floaty wings. And how that works is there's a couple things that will cause you to... Basically, your wings will just keep going up forever. And if you have that, it's really scary because you can't control it. And being able to control wings is very important, because if we don't have a way of saving ourselves easily, things go wrong. So you gotta be... gotta be really careful here. Because things can go wrong very easily.
In here, there is a trigger kind of in the wall there that moves. The grubs actually start like way higher up in the ceiling, and then after you beat Collector, it's supposed to go farther down. But yeah, now we're going to be... So we lost No Clip there. As great as No Clip is, it does have some kind of notable exceptions that are worth noting will come up pretty soon here. The biggest one being that you can't go through upwards transitions. If you go through a transition that leads you up, the way the game handles those upward transitions is that it takes control away from you and then gives it back to you once you land on the ground. And since we aren't going to touch any of the geometry, the game never gives control back with No Clip.
Yeah.
But in that case, using a Dream Gate actually makes us lose No Clip. But by getting transition storage, we're able to go underneath the acid and set a Dream Gate there. And then by going back to that Dream Gate and jumping out of the acid with good timing, we're able to get No Clip back. And something more with that too, we'll see it more later, but we also get something called Invuln, Dream Gate Invuln, so we actually just can't be hit by any enemies.
Yeah, that's one of the big limitations we're going to be using we call main menu storage no clip a little bit, which is what you saw at the start. One of the big limitations is that you can be hit, unlike with this form of this form of no clip, Dreamgate no clip. She's immune to nothing is nothing can hit her, and so sometimes we need to get that purely because there's too many enemies in the way, and it's going to be a problem.
But before entering into the hive here, we set a dream gate, and that's because we're going to be wanting to go back to that area and going through an upwards transition. So in a little bit, we'll be dream gating back there, losing our no clip, and then moving around with yes clip for a little bit.
That is what we call, when you don't have no clip, we call it yes clip, as the opposite. So something that just happened there, which is a little bit silly. Basically, when you spawn in from save quitting, you can actually mash a spell, and it will actually give you control early, which has a lot of strange side effects. But as you saw there, she actually got control while still waking up, which which went a little bit weirdly because she was kind of stopped mid teleport there and had to actually finish it by looking down. It's a little weird.
Yeah, there's a few fun things where just like different actions that you take kind of call the same named states for different things in the game. Kind of notably, turning around and like looking up and down have like a finish state that affects a lot of other things in the game. So you can like finish the Dreamgate animation by looking up and looking down.
Once again, so the reason that she went through the transition and back was because she wanted to get transition storage again, and how transition storage works is it lets us kind of sink into the acid, and by doing that it lets you put the Dreamgate in the acid like before and get no clip again.
Yeah, transition storage does a lot of kind of weird things. Where we don't see too much of it here. It shows up in other glitch runs where, like, while you have transition storage, you're unable to wings, you're unable to use your, like, nail slashes. You can jump off of walls but not cling to them. It does.
That was a really
stuff.
hard trick, by the way. She just did something really difficult and got it perfectly.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Another case of, like, needing to land on the ground when it can be difficult to time or know where the ground is, but in order to set that dream gate, it can be pretty precise.
Yeah. That's maybe the most difficult trick of the run when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
So it was very impressive to get it right there. But of course, she's an expert, so.
True.
Once again, with that looking down to teleport. This is another yes clip section of the run, because this, again, we couldn't go to this grub earlier because to get back out it would have been through an upwards transition. Also, when you go through an upwards transition, it doesn't just softlock you, it also makes it impossible to access the menus, so you have to hard close the game to escape it. It's the only way.
And we're going to see another example. We're going back here to Crystal Peak to save one last grub that we did go right past, but it's just, again, the problem of to get out of the room, it's an upwards transition. So if we did it earlier, we wouldn't be able to leave. So we just come do it now. And it's a little bit of a dual purpose. By walking through Dirtmouth like that, the game automatically sets you to that Dirtmouth bench, even though we haven't sat on it. And that's going to be useful because we'll be doing some more main menu storage here in just a second. And by the game thinking that we were sitting on that bench instead of just right outside of King's Pass, we're able to get bench storage again when we main menu storage.
it also just does it soft lock you or not let you access menus again? It's trying to do main menu storage without a bench save is bad. Bad things
Yeah.
happen. I think that was yes clip.
Yeah, that was yes
Double
clip.
check. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll be seeing a slightly different version of main menu storage here. Based on the timing that you load into it, you can either get no clip or get yes clip. In this case, we go through an upwards transition, so we want yes clip.
Oh, that was something we call this is what we call a hazard warp. So again, like before when we were talking about if you go through an upwards transition, the game doesn't actually update until you touch ground. That happened there is it didn't update where he was supposed to hazard respawn by going into the room. So where it actually saved was where we were in the previous room. So the hazard respawn we were at in the previous room was all the way in the top left, and that just happens to line up perfectly in the next room that it teleports us all the way to the other side of the room.
One full thing I
and then
want to
right
note
after-
here, I just saved 40 seconds on my PB.
Go.
Hey.
And we did see a little bit there. It kind of went too quickly for us to catch. But we also saw some out of bounds movement too. Kind of similar to getting transition storage, you can get control during the coming out of a load in order to just like fall out of bounds and skip a lot of that big room in cliffs.
I did not.
And we'll be getting transition storage again here, so we can set up another dream gate in the acid. Because as much time as we can spend in no clip, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. There's actually another route that has been recently discovered, which spends even more of the run in no clip.
Yippee.
Dodge the acid there. One thing that's happening here is because she has all the equipment in the game, that includes Ismist here. And what Ismist here does is it actually lets us swim in acid, which is good because it lets us get no clip from the acid, but also it can be bad because it can stop you when you don't want to be, or it can be good, stop you when you want to be, like there.
Yeah, acid and water, even when you have no clip, you still interact with them, so.
Mm-hmm.
The only water that it doesn't apply to is hot springs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's true. One thing we're gonna see is Aggie actually stopped early there on purpose, because if Aggie had gone all the way to the load, there's acid under the load, and Aggie would have fallen into the acid and been swimming on the other side, which would have been bad.
The Knight's already had its swimming lessons. That's bad. Come on, thank you.
Good recovery. Some of the most interesting parts of running glitch is trying to figure out how to save mistakes.
Yeah. Because it can be so easy to just find yourself in a position of like, well, I need something to pogo or this is over, and that or it's just like, let me just walk around in the walls here. Maybe there's a floor somewhere that'll give me airwalk back.
There usually is.
There usually is. There's so much floor in these walls.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a lag reducing measure to not have one giant block, but it is very handy. We're getting into the spiders part here, so
Yeah, a little bit of a content warning for arachnophobia. Shouldn't be too much, but worth noting.
this would normally be a dark room, but because of Godome menu storage, we actually start the game with the lantern, which is very helpful.
And we'll be heading now into Beasten. Here's going to be another piece, or another bit where you need to get like, yeah, that was good enough, I guess. You need to be on the floor to get in the door there, And we definitely were there. We definitely were on the same level as where that door went. Don't worry about it. That looked right to me.
Yeah, it was absolutely
That's good
perfect.
enough.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing that we're going to run into an issue here is there's actually too many saves. We need to do mini swords too many times. So we'll have to actually delete a file at some point.
This might be yes clip. I'm not 100% sure on it.
I think it was good.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll find out in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
No clip. Let's go.
Oh, nice. So
Put you
what
right on the
Aggie's
ground.
doing here is, like we were talking about earlier, Dreamgate Invuln. So this sign specifically, to get Dreamgate Invuln with bench storage, you need very specific things you can actually interact with, and it just so happens that this sign is one of them that happens to work of all the things in the game, which is right here. It's very convenient.
Yeah. Essentially, the idea is we started Dreamgate. We used the sign in a fireball to keep control during that Dreamgate animation, and so then we're able to just leave the room in the like end part of a Dreamgate animation. And while you're Dreamgating, you're invulnerable. So we just get to keep that.
Mhm. Worth noting that if that had gone wrong, Aggie would have just teleported on accident instead of becoming invulnerable, and that would have not gone well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's very, very easy to mess up that trick.
Yeah. The timing is pretty precise.
Mm. How much silver?
We'll just find some nice floor in the ceiling there too.
Mhm. It can be a little scary if you are a little too greedy there, go too far left, then you will just fall. And because of transition storage, with transition storage you can't use your wings. And so Aggie would have just kind of been stuck doing that, and it would have gone very poorly. But thankfully the acid was there to save us.
Yeah, transition storage down dashes are just like one of the fastest ways that you can move in the game. Another thing that transition storage does is it uncaps your fall speed, um, and it just like behaves really weirdly with the like sharp shadow down dash in particular,
Mhm.
but lets you just go down so quickly, so fast, just like all at once. So.
We will be going to Deep Nest again in just a second. So coming up here, there's actually a little section that's supposed to be a jump scare. The floor falls out from right behind you. We don't care about that. We're just gonna go through the floor.
We're already ready for it. For people who
Look at
haven't
all
played
these
Hollow
grubs
Knight,
to save.
yeah, all these grubs to
There's so many
save. Might be
grubs.
a little bit confusing, but the game has a few grub jars that have mimics in them. Or actually enemies that will come out and start attacking you. Um, so even though there's 4 jars in there, only one of them is actually the grub that we need to save.
Mhm.
But the mimics deserve love too.
True.
Mhm. But they are not required for this category.
Mhm.
Oof. That room is always scary, but it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so a big part of learning glitch categories that are really heavy with no clip movement is it really is just kind of memorizing the rooms, knowing where the different transitions are, knowing where enemies are, knowing where pockets of acid and water are, and just knowing where the floor is that's hidden in the walls and ceilings. Like it really takes just so much game knowledge.
Hmm. Uh-oh. Yeah, that can happen sometimes. main menu storage, you have to use a mouse to actually click on the right thing. You can't actually do it with controller or anything. So sometimes you can just misclick slightly and everything falls apart a little bit.
But there we go.
Mhm. And I think that's the last no clip of the run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the last no clip section here.
We got them all perfectly. Our last section is going to be going into city, and we have to. A lot of these grubs are some of the most difficult, so this is a little bit of a scary section. We'll see how it goes. Should go well though.
There are a couple of grubs left in Crossroads as well.
Yeah.
That's true.
And here'll be a case where we have no clip but aren't getting Dreamgate Invuln again. So can be hit by enemies.
Mm-hmm. If you see Aggies pressing escape there, actually that is to get control. Otherwise the game would sort of float you down to a certain point. But by pressing escape there, you actually get control back earlier and can move side to side.
Right there, Aggie did with transition storage, you're able to get something that we call dash storage. Essentially, you pause the game after doing a dash or some other movement. The pause will actually take control away from you, and you're unable to get it back until you go through a transition. I think, or getting hit, a few other things. And it just kind of keeps you doing whatever you were already doing. So we do it in the middle of a dash, and it keeps our dash speed going to the right. If you do it during a walk, you're just going to keep walking slowly to the right. If you do it when standing still, you will keep standing still forever. Which obviously not great.
No.
So we see another one there. So they're very fast, but can be a little bit risky.
Yeah. But C dash is still the go-to if you can get it. It's the fastest.
But of course, instead of C-Dash being forced to be along the ground, or starting on the ground, we're able to do the dash storages in the air.
Yes. Ooh. So what happened there is I specifically hit a certain trigger, and that trigger actually was it's a hazard point, and what that means is as soon as Aggie hits something that would hazard respawn them, then that would send them to their last hazard point, which was on the floor there, which is very specifically hitting the spikes there on purpose. It was not an accident.
Yeah, it makes it really easy to just know you'll be on the ground, know you're going to get airwalk back, know you're going to be able to do that C-Dash.
welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the little technical issue, but we shall get back underway.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need to
Okay, we're
remember.
coming back towards the very end of our run here. Got just a few grubs left to save. But making our way out of Sanctum, saving this grub on our way down to Waterways. But a quick detour along the way. We're going to want to come back here. And when we dream gate, we lose no clip, so we need to make sure to put that dream gate on the other side of the locked door.
Is that that's one of the only grubs that actually requires you to go through an upwards load first. So we have to go through with yes clip. It might be the only one, but I might be forgetting something.
I think you're right. I think the other ones have other ways to get there.
This is a little bit scary here. We have to find ground to be able to get... Oh, never mind. Perfectly
Nice.
found ground. GT. And this is the last grub we're heading off towards. So this is one of the... I think this might be the only grub of the run that requires actual, like, combat. We have to fight
Yeah.
we have to fight a soldier,
The Great Husk
Great Husk
Sentry
Sentry,
to
because
open
the
the gate.
won't unlock until then.
Oh.
And of course, Aggie makes it look easy.
And there we go. And there's all the grubs.
GG.
Ooh.
Every grubby is saved.
We have achieved the happiness.
Yippee.
That honestly kind of snuck up on me. Good job. With that being said, where can the lovely folks at home find the three of you?
Yeah, I sometimes stream at twitch.tv/Agimon. You'll find all sorts of, all grubs, all glitches runs, some randomizer, and some speedrunner versus hunter. It's a great time. Yippee.
You can find me. I stream at twitch.tv/a_press. Do a lot of like Hollow Knight randomizers, some glitches, some good stuff. I do also want to do a quick shout out. If you see this and you're like, oh, I would love to learn some of this, but it seems intimidating. Where do I start? One of our friends has made a really great website. Smallhomothityorganization.org. I'll send a link in the chat in a little bit. But has a lot of really great resources for getting into glitched runs. Has like routes, has some tutorials. It's really great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you can find me... Oh,
sorry.
you can find me at... Oh?
There you go. Sorry.
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/meemee_variety. I do a lot of glitch speedruns / other game speedruns, but I love glitches.
Glitches are amazing. I just wanted to say shout outs to Blossom. They are the incredible group that made Small Homothity organization. Yeah, they've done so much for the Hollow Knight community, especially for glitches.
Speaking of Blossom and Aggie, they're putting on an event soon, which is we call it
true.
Grub Day, and there's going to be a lot of grub-related races, which Aggie and I are both going to be a part of. AP is going to be there too, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So catch that if you can.
All right. Thank you, Aggie, once again for showing off All Grubs, All Glitches. And for you in chat at home, stay tuned and stick around because we will be raiding out soon. So just stay put, and we'll be leaving our wildlife excursion pretty soon. All right, folks, our lovely, lovely wildlife excursion has come to an end for the day. Join us next time on Attract Mode. We'll be taking a little bit easier time with it, maybe less exciting, because we have some back-to-back mood setters. First with a perfectly ordinary cooking game in Kiosk 90% run by Marforia, and then a also perfectly ordinary pinball game in Screaming Mad George's Paranoia Escape, 90% by Alara. If you would like to join us for that, please do. But as for right now, in this moment, I have been your host, Professor Burtch, and we are about to raid out to Clockwork Ophelia. So if you'd like to stick around for that, please do so. And this has been Attract Mode for today. Thank you for joining us.